Two new bits of footage just dropped for Season 3, and this forecasts a very dark future in the season ahead of us. The first bit shows Gi-yoon doing the exact opposite of what everyone else does on the island. He was begging to lose his life. That's right. After seeing him fail with the rebellion, then be dropped off in a coffin present before finally just being a part of the population again, emotionally destroyed, and kept in a room with dozens of eyes staring him down as they figure out what he tried and how many people died because of it. He fearlessly approached the group of guards and grabbed a soldier's gun and pressed the barrel right against his own head. This is unlike anything we've ever seen of a Squid Game player. Interestingly enough, as it shows him begging for his death, it shows the crowd's reaction, including player 120's acting like she never participated despite being seen shooting out cameras, as well as Deo, who hasn't mentally recovered, and since they both made their way back to the dormitory, they were seemingly spared. Either way, all players from both parties just watch, and it's hard to tell of what the O team thinks of this, but Gi-yoon then drops this dark line. You won. For the first time in the entirety of the show, he accepts that he was wrong. He didn't do that after deceiving Il-nam. He didn't do that after knowing he beat Il-nam. He didn't do that after calling out the frontman in limbo, beating his ex-wife's new man, stealing from his mother, angering loan sharks, beating up his childhood friend. This, my friends, is true defeat, and he begs for death from it. And after that, that's the last we see of him in the release clip. He also just lost his best friend, and in a later shot, we see most of the room in a clip where In-ho is watching through his TV, and we also see the freshly opened coffin box that Gi-yoon was delivered in. So this encounter happened minutes after Gi-yoon returned to the dormitory, still torn apart at the sight of Jung-bae getting shot and the rebellion failing. Seeing how broken he is here makes a lot more sense towards the new perspective now. In all the shots where we saw Gi-yoon handcuffed to a bed frame, it was giving off the idea that he was handcuffed so he wouldn't fight back again. But now, it seems like they handcuffed him so he wouldn't commit suicide, and that's quite a lot to think about. They just keep him on the island and make him keep playing the games like everyone else. Towards the end of the clip, we see In-ho sitting, watching, doing that cold stare that he always does. And without even looking away from the screen, he finishes his scotch. And some important things to note here are that he's not wearing gloves, which he usually does any other time he's chilling there drinking scotch as people get murdered. I only say this to bridge this next phone call he receives with the later release clip by Netflix showing him holding a phone and saying kill them all. No other details about this conversation are revealed, but In-ho makes this statement without wearing gloves as well. Now, I know he's rarely seen taking calls with the landline, but this is still an important detail because it just confirms that that call he received in the exclusive footage was one in which he responded by saying, Now, let's look at the context here. All players involved in the rebellion are dead, fake dead, back in the room, or holding the phone that I'm talking about. No players are in a position where there would be a group killing. Plus, staff on the island uses walkies to communicate, not the frontman's phone. So, in theory, it had to be someone from off the island, like someone talking on behalf of the VIPs. Or a boat captain who's starting to blow his cover and be recognized as someone who knows of the island and is now looking for a solution on how to deal with it. Because also, all of the other trailer scenes only show Junho, so because of that, I very strongly believe that it's Boat Captain Park who's calling In-ho because he's starting to be exposed. I mean, just saying, all scenes of Junho on the island show him being there alone, so I'd even take it a step further and make the daring assumption that after this call, Captain Park might have even tried killing the entire crew, and everyone ended up dead except Junho. Another insane scene to talk about is this! Now, initially, I thought it was Gi-yoon in the elevator fighting a pink guard for their gun, because let's face it, that would be genius. At the end of the trailer, it shows Gi-yoon being escorted to the frontman with just one guard. Now, after that, if he said his emotional piece and left, on the way back down, Gi-yoon would be alone in the elevator. If he fought the guard and won, he could send it right back upstairs and just be like, "Surprise, motherfucker!" And he could literally kill In-ho. But that's not the case, that's just the dreamer's fantasy. In this scene, we see the officer fighting a masked guard with her gun. That's right, her gun. It's obvious that the only triangle guard the show would have fighting this man is guard 11, and given that her mask is still on, it makes me believe that this scene was well before any of her other maskless scenes in the trailer. And even though it looks bad for her in this clip since the officer is a big man, I think she honestly beats him, and this marks the start of her own rebellion. I mean, I'd assume that this scene happens towards the start of the season because she wouldn't not be wearing her mask unless she already screwed up to the point where it wouldn't save her, as we saw in the other scenes from the trailer, where it's likely true that she's now against the rest of the staff. And given that it happened on the elegant elevator, I'd assume that he was taking her to the frontman himself, for reasons we don't yet know. But this builds suspense of her story pretty well, as we know player 246 was spared, and after saving him, she began her actual rebellion without getting caught or killed on the spot, as we've seen with a few other scenes. So overall, this gives us a lot to think about as we approach the final season. But for now, that's all I got. I'll see you next time.